church planter can walk 20 miles in a day. Give him a bicycle and he can go 3 times as far and be 3 times as effective. All right, we're back in James chapter 4, and we've read verse number 11, but let me read it again because we've only covered really the first half of it. James writes, "Do not speak against one another, brethren. He who speaks against a brother or judges his brother." And so last time we, tried to define what he's really talking about. That's what a judgment is. It involves speaking a judgment, something negative about somebody else, okay? And again, I already said, let's remember there's 31,000 other verses that can bring some balance to what he's saying here. Whoever speaks against a brother or judges his brother speaks against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge of it. Okay, so the obvious point here is that we're not to be judging the law, but we're supposed to be doers of the law. Now, what does he mean when he says you're judging the law? Well, different ways that we could paraphrase that, but when we ignore the law or disobey the law, what we're in essence saying is that we are above the law. The law's requirements are not binding upon us. We are at a higher level than that. And so we're judging the law as being not necessary to obey, or judging the law as lesser than ourselves, or judging the law as not being a requirement that is binding upon us. Okay? And so we're exalting ourselves above the law. There again, James is hitting it hard right in the heart of the matter. The real problem here when we're judging other people is pride. Okay, and that has a lot to do with when we disobey, any of what we know to do according to God's will and his commandments. We're judging the law. I'm above the law. The law is below me. I've determined that I've got a standard that is a better, more binding standard than the law's standard, and although my standard is lower. Okay, so that's in essence, I think, what he's trying to say there. But he's really going to take out the sword and slash us in the next verse number 12. There is only one lawgiver, okay? Not you, right? Not me. There's only one lawgiver and judge. Both lawgiver and judge in my version, the New American Standard Bible, are capitalized. He's talking about God here. The one who is able to save and to destroy. And so that's an interesting contrast there of the two things that the lawgiver and the judge does. He saves and he destroys. But here's the main point. But who are you to judge your neighbor? And that, again, echoes that same theme of why it's wrong to judge, why it's wrong to speak against a brother or sister in Christ and to be finding fault with them, because we're saying we have that right because we are better than them and we're not guilty of what they're guilty of. And we're judging the law of God, saying we're above that. And so this is the synopsis. Who are you? Yeah. Okay, I tell you, James really has a way of putting the double-edged sword right through the heart. And if anyone has a more elevated opinion of themselves than they should, reading this passage and a few subsequent ones to come here, they are absolute killers. Okay, so I'm going to say it again because it bears repetition. And quite frankly, I need to hear it perhaps more than you do, at least as much as, okay? Who are we to be finding fault with other people? Okay, who are we? Who are we? Are we the one who gave the law? No. Are we the one who's people are going to stand before? No. Have we reached some state of perfection? No. And that's why I made reference to the fact that, this is I think a veiled reference to what Jesus taught about judging in the Sermon on the Mount. That's why Jesus said, what are you doing taking the speck out of your brother's eye when you got a log in your own eye? You're not worthy to be doing that. But listen, here's the end of it. First, get the log out of your own eye. So that then qualifies you now. He said, then you can take the speck out of your brother's eye because you haven't got a larger fault. So anyone with whom we're finding fault or any fault we're finding, in general with people, do I have that right? Do I have that right? And I think if we could embrace that type of attitude and really see ourselves in that light, we'd be a whole lot less negative speaking about other people and finding fault and criticizing them because, we just wake up the fact that we don't have the right. It's called humility. Just called humility. And, God resists the proud, but he gives grace and wisdom to the humble. Okay, so let's work on this, all right? I think I'm going to work on this. Listen to what's coming out your mouth. When it's criticism, then check yourself, say, wait a second, do I have the right? Great words here by James. I love it, okay? Now he's going to address another issue of pride and how it manifests itself in the lives of believers that is, wow, I don't think I would have thought of this if James hadn't have said it. In my version, the New American Standard from which I'm reading, it starts a new paragraph. I'm not so sure that's what James intended, but then he says in verse number 13, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we shall go to such and such a city and spend a year there and engage in business and make a profit." Now, who would have ever thought there's anything wrong about saying something like that? But again, James is addressing the words that come out of our mouths and what they reveal about what's in our hearts. He contrasts now, yet, verse 14, "you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow." And just as he asked a few verses ago, who are you? Now he's going to tell us something about who we are. You are just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. All right, so say it out loud. I am a temporary vapor. There's your positive confession for the day. All right, I'll see you next time.
HeavenWord 7 is made possible by the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.